Be me. Hiking a pretty tame trail around a lake in northern Missouri. Dirty hippie, so I'm going barefoot. About halfway through the trail, I'm starting to get into a thicker part that is clearly less traveled. At some point I start to detect a strange odor, not the usual pennies and rotting flesh, but it's more like some kind of body odor. If that makes sense. Smells like someone on a really gnarly diet hasn't showered in months. As I'm going along, the smell gets stronger and I start to notice that everything is oddly quiet. Oh fuck, it's actually happening. I'm not about to become the retarded white guy at the start of a horror movie. The instant I turn around to go back the way I came, I hear a loud crack someplace off into the forest on my right, the lake now on my left. I start sprinting. After only like 50 feet I slip and bust my ass on a patch of unidentifiable slime on the dirt which was not there before. Regret not wearing shoes. Get back to starting location without stopping. Relatively uneventful, but what the fuck? The slime had the consistency of a slug's slime, the shit that is hard to get off without some vigorous scrubbing. Be me. Go outside. Suddenly and immediately overcome by extremely odd feeling. Feels like I'm being blasted by a trillion hot air blow dryers. Look at my hands and arms. Slightly glowing. Feels almost like I'm starting to literally burn. The feeling is even going through my clothes now. Eyes are straining from the glowing coming off of my skin. Meltdown. Flash. Wonder what the fuck is causing this strange phenomenon. Look up, see pic related. Go back inside. Problem solved. Never fucking doing that again. Friend and I are driving around at 3 a.m. on a road that runs parallel to an interstate, still pretty desolate. Out of the darkness we see a pure white wolf sitting on its haunches beside the road. It's as big as my friend's Ford Ranger. Both me and my friend just stare at it as we drive past. It watches us. After we pass, it continues to look at us for a moment before it gets up and slinks off into the brush. Friend and I are silent for several moments. Finally ask my friend, "Did you see that?" "Yeah. A giant wolf." The rest of the drive is in silence. Neither of us mentioned it to each other or anyone else for a long time. What's really weird is that my wife told me that she saw something similar not long after we had gotten together. It was the first time I had thought about the encounter since it had happened, probably about 8 years. I have a similar story, posted this on /n/cryptid thread earlier this year but might as well post it to /x/2. Friend and I are traveling south to Alabama to help a friend move. 9 fucking hour drive, slept for a lot of it. It's already dark when I wake up. Our car is alone on the road, mostly trees and farmland on either side of us. Probably somewhere in Tennessee or lower Kentucky at the time. Friend is already tired, trying to focus on the road. I look off the side of the road. See left side of pic related crouched down beside the road. Stare at it as we get closer. It does a kind of awkward backwards crawl downhill from the road as we're about to pass it. Looks like it's climbing down a ladder, best way I can describe the way it moved. Friend doesn't comment, and when I ask him, he says he didn't see it. He claims that he had nearly dozed off several times and believed that for the night stretch of the drive a floating goldfish was leading us down the road. My shitty drawing really doesn't do what I saw justice. To describe it a bit more clearly. All white. Looked fleshy, but it could have just been the lighting at the time. Tall shoulder hump, almost like a bison or a bear. Slender yet muscular forelimbs, like a weightlifter had their arms stretched but not bulked up to match their new length. Digitigrade hind limbs, look much more appropriately sized for its body but still pretty thin. Might have had a tail but I can't remember clearly. Can't remember head features, almost looked like a bald human looking straight down in head shape, but other than conical ears I can't remember any face details. Anons in the /n/thread mentioned stories of living giant ground sloths, also shown in pic related. White not quite the same, there are a lot of similarities to what I saw there, on holiday in another country. Go to the mall with my brother. See a 40-something-year-old hippie lady walking towards me wearing one of those chemo bandanas that people wear when they have cancer. She stops and says, "I've always wanted to meet you. Anon, you and your brother are so cute together." She grabs my hand with both hands. Her hands were colder than any hand I've ever felt, but it felt really good. Just as she let go of me, a blast of what felt like pure light ran through my entire body. I look to my brother with confused expression. I turn around and she's gone. Either my life is like the Truman Show and a dying lady went off script, or I met an actual angel. I'm not religious or had anything weird like this ever happen since, be me around 13 with friend. We used to walk on the train tracks to see how far we could go, start out in the morning usually so we have longer to be out. This is in the south, so the train goes through lots of woods. Sometimes divert off the track into the woods or just keep going. This day we keep going. We started out later in the day. Made it a few miles and we come across one of those toy cars for kids they ride around in on the track. We decide to clear it off the track and throw it down in the ditch, maybe 10 feet or more off the side, would be very hard to get to. Keep walking, stop, take a break, eat, keep going. Go a few more miles when we see a guy way down the track, just standing there staring right at us. He is pretty far away but can tell he is wearing camouflage and has a long arm rifle or shotgun. What the fuck? We wave at him, he just stares at us. He then turns into the woods and walks away. Being stupid kids, we decide to keep going, probably just someone looking for a deer. Go another mile or so and decide to turn around because the sun is going down and we are tired. As we start heading back, getting that feeling of being watched. Every once in a while hear the faint noise of a twig snapping. Get to where we found the kid car. Someone placed it on the tracks just as it was. Time to book it. We start jogging back home, still have miles to go, now it's almost dark, can't see the sun anymore. Can hear someone is following as they are moving faster and they are more careless. Decide to cut through the woods and get to a road we know is there. Hear someone running behind us. We get to the road and go into a restaurant and eat some chicken tendies and call mommy to come get us. Wonder what could have happened if that dude had caught up with us. I mean, if he wanted to get us, he could have just waited for us to pass by him. But I wonder if he was waiting for the sun to go down, exploring old artillery foundry with friends. Place built early 1800s, now a federal park. Pretty much just old bombed out brick shells in the woods with some paths running through them. Walking down a path that borders a marsh after messing around in one of the old furnaces. One friend starts walking ahead. Me and 3 others like 15 feet behind. See old lady sitting on a bench on path. Lady has messy gray hair, and if I remember right, tattered clothes. Not like rags, but definitely not new and probably had a hole or two. Figure it's odd but could just be an old woman enjoying nature. Lady instead speed walks right behind lead friend. Like 1 or 2 inches away from him, directly behind. Matches his pace. Friend doesn't seem to notice, or at least doesn't acknowledge. I kinda turn to the 2 guys who are lagging behind with me with a what the fuck look. Decide that this is too weird and run up to friend and call his name. Neither he nor lady acknowledge me until I get like 3 feet away. Lady gives slight turnet looks at me. Kinda gives me a look like, oops, you caught me. I get a really creepy feeling. Lady immediately makes a sharp 30-degree turn and just walks into woods. Despite looking around, 70 has no problem speed walking over a steep hill and disappears over the top. No real trail that way, just steep hills that separate the foundry ruins from the trails and parking lot. Friend asks me what was up, apparently didn't even notice the woman. Other friends say it was weird but don't pay it too much mind. I still think of the chill I got down my spine when she looked at me. It wasn't malicious or necessarily spooky. Story happened around 6 years at this point, pretty sure I am the only one of those friends that remembers. The lady didn't say a word throughout the entire encounter and walked in a way that seemed odd to me. From the time I saw her to a few hours after, I got the same kinda static feeling that I get whenever a magic spell actually works, be at cousin's house. He lives in the country. Late at night, go out on the porch for some reason. This was 2006. Hear someone take a step in the gravel drive in the side of the house. Walk over to the corner of the house and keep weird feeling. Walking super slow and silent so not to be heard. Hear a blowing sound, almost like a horse but less sloppy. Turn corner and nothing. Nothing is there. What the fuck? Be me kayak fishing in at 2 a.m. Close to the bank. See shadow of large creature at the top of the hill. Heart is beating fast but not freaking out, but it was creeping me the fuck out and I didn't know if it was real or not. The shadow fucking sprints forwards the bank making ungodly demon pig noises. I freak the fuck out, start paddling like a madman. Creature crashes into bushes then splashes into water right behind me. Adrenaline rose me to the middle of the pond, don't see any sign of the creature. I row to my car then get the fuck out of there. I still really don't know what the fuck it was or where it went. I don't have bears where I'm from in the south.